As you watched this game unfold yesterday, what do you think you learned about the Minnesota Vikings?
I really don't think I learned much of anything. I think that they looked exactly how they should have looked. They beat a team that they should beat. I think it sets this team up for me to maybe learn something this coming Sunday when they take on Chicago. Maybe I'll learn something then. But yesterday, I expected that to happen. I expected them to take care of business. I expected them to win by.
That makes one of us. I predicted a 3-point game. I'd like to apologize for that.
I think I predicted a 10-point win. They won by 14. I expected them to win and cover the spread for those of you that are gambling friends out there. So I didn't really learn anything. I think that they were going to be a team that should handle Oakland with no problems. I don't think Oakland's very good. It's hard to take away something from yesterday's game just because of who they played. And there's no fault to the Vikings for that. I can't blame them for me not learning anything about them. It's just because the Raiders aren't very good. What am I supposed to learn by them beating a bad team?
651-646-8255. The question right now being, what did you learn from yesterday's game? Actually, let's go to the phone lines right away here on Viking Ventline and go to Kurt. Hey, Kurt, what's going on?
Hey, thanks a lot. Well, the running game working. Now, let's go to Chicago on a challenge and keep the consistency. I mean, enough of the yin and the yang. I don't want to see a first and goal interception. We have to go on the road now. We're going to be challenged. Let's see some consistency. And if we play like that, of course we're gonna win. But we got to take a divisional opponent away at home, because it's still going to be a tough season. Detroit might be a little better than we thought. Not great, maybe, but let's go win one on the road and have some consistency.
Thanks, Kurt. Appreciate the call.
I agree with Kurt. I can find something out. I can learn about this team next Sunday when they go on the road in Chicago. If they can win the game next Sunday the way they won yesterday's game against Oakland, I think we learned something about this team.
Mm-hmm.
But until then, I'm still going to have my questions.
Now, where I will give the Vikings complete credit is they went down the path again of confirming things. Yeah. So we didn't learn things, but things were confirmed. Let's see. Dalvin Cook, really good at football.
Yeah.
You know what? We might have understated, and this is saying something because we talked about it a lot during the course of the offseason. We might have understated the importance of Dalvin Cook in saying he has to stay on the field, because what we didn't say is if he doesn't, this offense might be dead.
So I do have a question about him, though, because this offense is so Dalvin Cook-centric. I have my concerns how long it can stay that way, how long this can last.
Mm-hmm.
That's my biggest concern coming out of yesterday's game, I suppose. And that's not necessarily something I learned, because that was a concern for everybody entering the season. We didn't know what to expect from Dalvin Cook health-wise. He's been healthy through the first 3 weeks, and he's been one of, if not the best running back in the NFL. But how long can his body hold up? What does he look like week 8, week 9, week 10? When you get into that second half of the season, how are his legs feeling? What type of shape is his body in? That's my concern, I guess, coming out of yesterday is, it was confirmed to me that Dalvin Cook is really a special player. But how long can you just lean on him and him alone and be successful?
Thing two, not surprising, the defense.
Also good.
Also really good. And you know what? All right, so Atlanta played, I thought, poorly. Oakland is awful. Oakland and Derek Carr. Now, Derek Carr will tease you with a few nice throws here and there. But this Atlanta and Matt Ryan are not a dumpster fire. They didn't play well, but kudos to the Vikings defense in the opener for playing that well itself. Yesterday, the defense took advantage. Let's see, with plays like this.
Carr, and it's intercepted by Harrison Smith. Still on his feet, and Smith goes down at the 30 as Carr overthrew his receiver.
To set up opportunities. And by the way, did you see that throw? I mean, what the hell is that throw? If you thought Cousins had problems, what is Derek Carr? That's your John Gruden. That's your guy. John Gruden.
You know what? Derek Carr's got a little bit of Kirk Cousins in him.
I think he's worse though.
But I think that there are some similarities between those two quarterbacks.
That team is in trouble. But anyway, the defensive point was this. If you look at the Vikings home schedule in 2019, how many teams with that defense should come in here thinking we've got a really good chance? Not many.
No, I think Green Bay.
Because this is what you're going to have to do defensively.
I think Green Bay will feel good about themselves coming in here.
Does Philadelphia right now?
No,
I don't
not
feel
after
too good.
yesterday.
And Carson Wentz could easily. I
Carson
will
Wentz
say,
might not be on the field.
yeah,
The way he gets hurt.
and I will say this: Carr's not good, but that is far from the first quarterback that we've seen in US Bank Stadium to get absolutely rattled.
Yeah,
Like they're lost.
and it'll happen again.
Yep. But Green Bay, okay, Green Bay. Chicago might come in here and play a tight game because their defense is good too. But Mitch Trubisky in a big game where the Vikings are, how can I put this as nicely as possible considering what the Vikings didn't do in the regular season finale in 2018? How about this word? Where the Vikings are engaged.
Okay.
So if Mitch Trubisky comes in here and plays a game in which the Vikings are confident and defensively engaged, I think he's in huge trouble.
Yeah, he doesn't have a chance. I think he's kind of regressed from last year too.
That's
I think
very
he's
possible.
regressed as a quarterback
see
from last year.
tonight,
Now
right?
it could change. Yeah, we'll see tonight against Washington. But it's hard for me to look at up and down this schedule and look at games that are at US Bank Stadium and say, you know what, that team's got a really good chance to come in here and beat the Vikings. It's hard for me to do that.
I agree. All right, so let's go back to
Washington's the same way. Washington's not going to come in here. They're not going to be able to light it up offensively.
No, Washington.
Denver won't.
Washington, and I don't care if Haskins starts, Keenum starts, or Joe Theismann starts. Washington should be absolutely lost here.
Yeah. I am curious to see how they look tonight against Chicago.
And because of the blueprint that the Vikings are establishing right now, I think you need to win to have the season, and heck, I'm talking regular season, that you want to have. I think you're talking 6 to 7 home wins.
Yes.
Necessary.
If not all 8.
Yeah, but necessary. Like we're not talking. If you lose with the way that you've established your team right now in US Bank Stadium on that turf, that defense, Dalvin Cook, if you lose 3 home games, it's a disappointment. It's a big disappointment.
Considering who you have coming into US Bank the rest of the season, you've got Philadelphia, Washington, Denver in your division.
Mm-hmm.
You should not lose 3 games.
And Denver is not good.
No, Denver's not good. Joe Flacco is another quarterback that I don't think will be able to handle US Bank Stadium.
We saw it with Baltimore here.
Yeah.
He got completely flustered.
Yes, I would be, if this team loses, honestly, if they lose 2 games at home, I think it's a disappointment.
651-646-8255. The question again, what do you think that you learned about the Vikings in the win over the Raiders on Sunday that might translate into what we're going to see next Sunday as they play the Bears in a late 3:00 game at Soldier Field? In fact, why don't you give your Twitter poll the question today? Again, the people can find it, Real D Cunningham, and I retweeted earlier this morning, Danny.
Yeah. On Twitter right now, does yesterday's win over the Raiders move the needle at all for you, or do the Vikings need to show up this weekend in Chicago to rebuild your belief in this team? A lot of responses so far. Ali said, I predicted 27-13, so they played better than I expected. Great win. A win next week would make up for last week, would be a huge win too, especially because they have a tough road schedule. That's very true. AJ says, the Vikings have looked amazing while playing at home. They've dominated early on offense, and defense has stayed strong throughout the whole game. Our sole away game, defense had 1 bad quarter and shut down Rodgers in the last 3. Confidence with this team is still high. Mark said, this team needs to continue to win the games they need, not just losing teams. Talk to me when they are on their way to the NFC Championship game. They have the players to get them there. They just need to shut up and play football. Dale says, beating bad teams impresses no one.
Wait, what is shut up and play?
Shut up and
They're
play
not
football.
running their mouths,
No.
are they?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. I didn't know if I missed something.
Dave says,
Fair enough.
Dave says Eden Prairie High School could beat the Raiders.
I'm on Dave's side of this.
No, they could not.
I know, but the Oakland Raiders, this is why as a sports fan, and there are people at the station who disagree with me on this across the board, but as a sports fan, I am offended when I go to a professional sports activity, sports at its highest level, right? And I see a team like Oakland. It's just like I'm offended by the Tigers in baseball.
Yeah.
When the Twins beat the Tigers, I learned nothing.
But I don't think Oakland is trying to lose. I genuinely don't think that they're trying to tank. And I know you and I exchanged emails about this yesterday. I don't think that they're trying to tank. Like, I think Miami is. I think to an extent Arizona is. I cannot include the Jets there. I know they're winless, but Sam Darnold's got mono. I'm not including them there.
No, the Jets are. Gase was a horrible hire.
Yes, horrible hire, but I'm not calling them tanking. They've got a quarterback. He's just out with the kissing disease. So, but I don't think Oakland's quite in the same category as Miami and Arizona right now. Back to some more tweets. Paul says, For sure, they need to win this week. If they don't, then it will confirm they are amazing against bad teams and trash against great teams. I think there's some merit to that.
Yeah, I think trash against great teams is too strong. That defense played one bad quarter.
Yeah,
I think defensively, the Vikings can't be trash because the defense is too good.
I'd like
They
to
could be
see them.
disappointing.
I'd like to see them win a big game on the road, though.
So would I, but I'm saying trash is too strong.
Trash is a little too
I'd be
strong.
more than happy to call them trash if they were trash. They're not. That defense is too good.
That's fair.
They are not a legitimate playoff contender once the postseason starts if they can't do what that tweet said. I agree with that.
Aaron tweets, not confident. Cousins crumbles when he's pressured, and the whole Mac thing makes me nervous. I feel like it's going to be a game where the defense keeps it close and Cook gets 100 plus yards, but Kirk Cousins shows up instead of Kirk and fumbles the game away.
Kirk Cousins shows up instead of Kirk?
Yes, Kurt instead of Kirk.
Oh, Kirk. That's the alter ego that collar has, yes.
Yes, Nathan says,
yes.
Kirk has to consistently play well against good teams. Nothing that he has done his entire career leads me to believe that will change next weekend and beyond.
Yeah, that's very fair. That's very fair. They're not trash, but the quarterback has to show you something. 651-646-8255 if you'd like to join the conversation. The topic now, what were your impressions? What were your takeaways? What do you think you learned, if anything, with the Vikings beating up on the Raiders on a Sunday? What did the Vikings learn? Kirk Cousins tells you.
It's a bit of a learning process. I said in training camp that you don't really know what kind of a team you have until maybe week 4 or week 5. And I think what's interesting is we're starting to learn. I think you're starting to learn what kind of a team we have and who we're going to be and what our best brand of football is going to be on offense.
Let's pair that quote with this one then.
If you win, it's hard to be disappointed with what's happening or not happening. We had 2,000-yard receivers last year. We also threw the ball a lot. We had 600 attempts. That's going to give them opportunities to have a 1,000-yard season. I do think there's going to come a game where we're not running the ball well and we're going to have to drop back and throw it 45 times, and we got to be ready for that.
All right, this opens up, in my opinion, the most interesting topic of today's Viking Ventline, and probably the most interesting topic of programming today when it comes to talking about the Vikings on the new SKOR North on 1500, and that is this. Thielen talked about it too. Cousins, obviously, in the back-to-back quotes I just played, talked about it as well. The identity of the Vikings in 2019. And I'll just start, Danny, by giving you the raw stats from yesterday. Dalvin Cook, again, runs for 100-plus yards, 110 yards on 16 carries. He becomes the first Viking player in history. This includes Adrian Peterson, just for some context, to rush for 100 or more yards in the first 3 games of a season. I guess most importantly, in rushing for 211 yards and 5.6 per pop, the Vikings did it on 38 attempts total. Kirk Cousins threw 21 passes. The identity of the Vikings defense, the trickle down of that, and I'm just going to start you with this one. Can the Minnesota Vikings replicate pretty much what the 85 Bears did to win a championship 30-plus years after that in a league that has long ago fallen in love with the ability to pass the football? Can ground and pound and stopping teams win you a championship?
I think that it can, but I don't think that the Vikings can replicate that, because I think that 85 Bears team was a special defense. They're one of the defenses that we talk about as an all-time great. We talk about the 85 Bears, the 2000 Baltimore Ravens, the 02 Bucks, the Denver Broncos defense that won the skeleton of Peyton Manning his second ring, the Legion of Boom in Seattle that won.
I'm glad you said about Peyton, by the way.
I'm not wrong.
No, I've just been banging that drum, and people are always like, you won a Super Bowl, who cares? I go, look at the stats, come on.
Yeah, but
keep going.
This Vikings defense isn't on that level. They're a tier or two below that level. Now, is there an avenue to get there that we talked about all last week? Certainly. But right now, they're not an all-time great defense. And to win like that, you have to be an all-time great defense. You have to have a really good defense to win, period, which the Vikings certainly do. But having a really good defense is only part of the equation. Having an all-time great defense is the equation.
Yes.
And the Vikings are not that right now.
Yes.
They're a really good defense. That's a huge piece of the puzzle, and they've got that piece of the puzzle built. But they don't have the other piece of the puzzle, and that's the quarterback right now. That's not what they don't have that. So it's hard for me to think that they can win the same way the 85 Bears won or the 2000 Baltimore Ravens won, because those teams had all-time great defenses. While the Vikings defense is really, really good, it's not that.
It's also predicated very largely, maybe not exclusively, but close to it on Dalvin Cook not getting hurt.
Yeah.
Which you can't count on. The other thing is, if they've decided to go down this path, there's a lot of questions there. One, does this travel? Because I think it does work at home. I think you could be very successful at US Bank Stadium doing this, but if you're going down this path, here's what you need to do. And I'm not joking, and I brought it up last week, and I will pound this drum if we're going to see this. You need to call the Jaguars and get Jalen Ramsey.
Yes.
You are good enough to fluster, dominate Derek Carr. You did a really good job against Matt Ryan. Congratulations. But if you're going to be the shutdown defense, and that has to apply then on the road on grass, I think you need to call the Jaguars and say, we need to get this done. And by the way, Jalen today called in sick for work.
Yes.
So he is not.
It's not the flu.
The Jaguars, so Schefter reported on Sunday on ESPN.com that the Jaguars now don't want to trade him. And Jalen, I think, has said, I played in that Thursday game. I told you I would, but I'm done here. I'm calling in sick now. But I don't see, if you're going to beat teams like, well, not the Bears because Trubisky's not that good, but if you're going to beat teams on the road with good quarterbacks, which you're going to have to play, that's the next step to me, Danny.
Well, I think that this can travel, but I think it doesn't travel against good teams. When you go on the road and you have some weaker road opponents, like this could travel to Detroit. This type of winning could travel to Detroit.
Okay, I'll give you that.
I have confidence in that.
Yep.
Can it travel to Seattle? Probably not. Can't travel to Kansas City or Dallas, but it could travel to Detroit. It could probably travel to New York against the Giants in a couple weeks.
It travels to Detroit a lot better with Jalen Ramsey, though.
Oh, no
like
question.
I want to go into every game knowing that I have what I consider the best damn defense in this league, and that if we don't shut teams down, not for 3 quarters, but for 4, that it's a massive disappointment because the quarterback conundrum's there. You're right.
Yeah.
That's not going away.
And Schefter said yesterday that something's got to give in that situation, and I said the Vikings should be the something. Give everything for him. That's exactly what it should be. But I think that this defense can travel. This way of winning can travel. I just don't know where the threshold for good teams is.
Mm-hmm.
It can travel to Detroit. It can travel to New York against the Giants.
Oh, yeah. Well,
it's not traveling to KC. It's
Daniel
not
Jones, though, now.
Dallas.
Come on. Gettleman's all happy.
It's been 1 week.
I know. I was joking.